Hi there, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Well, I've got something really special on the bench here today, and this is the second time one of these has come across this workbench. This is a Zenith Trans-Oceanic Royal 3000-1. I've done one before. When I did the last one, the first one, that was a local radio, and I mentioned at the time that these things were incredibly rare, and they are incredibly rare, especially in Europe, and more specifically, especially in Madeira, Portugal. And at the time, I think I mentioned that it was probably the only one on the island. Well, there might be another one or two, but there are very, very few around. Well, this one actually came from a little bit further afar. This one's from Marbella. And the way this worked was one of my subscribers saw the video on the restoration that I did on the previous restoration that I did on this model. He contacted me telling me that he had a radio, single owner, and that it was having problems tuning and that the volume level was gone and everything else, and he wanted me to do it. Well, my first reaction is get someone closer. I mean, these things are fairly heavy and shipping to Madeira is expensive. So I told him that it probably wouldn't be viable to ship it out here, and the cost of shipping is high and the risk of damage is high. You've got to do it by courier. He told me he wanted to go ahead anyway. So I took it on, and I am pleased to announce that this is my second Zenith Trans-Oceanic. I still have not done the 7000 one that belongs to Tiago. This is Tiago, this is for you. I haven't forgotten about that one. I'm still waiting for it, but I'm happy to say that these things come to you. If you don't have them around, they come to you, and it's great. I really love it. So this one arrived today, and I want to see what's wrong with it. I want to confirm the problems that the owner mentioned it has. It sounds very similar to the one I did before. The major difference is the condition. This thing is in beautiful, beautiful condition. Let me show you up close. Look at this guy. There is none of that chrome blotching that I had on the other one. The cleanliness is amazing. All the brass, all the chrome is nice and clean. There are a few little spots here and there. I mean, this thing has got some age to it. Physically, it's in perfect condition. We've got a stick on here, don't know why. The external supply. This one has got the original supply with it, as you can see. And 60 cycle use, 5 watts, use only on 12 volt receivers, okay. But it does have the selector. This is the 230 volt selector. This is a 115 volt selector. And what you do is you unscrew this and you put it in there to select 115. We want 230, so that's perfect. And then we've got this is our plug. Now this is negative DC, so in other words, if I test it, and I will, I believe that's positive, that's negative. It's the other way around. So you've got to be very careful. You can't just put in a normal adapter on here, or you'll put reverse polarity on this and blow it up. Now the other one had, let's see, the other one had the hinges here broken. This one is in perfect condition. Oh man, this is in beautiful condition. If I recall the other one, and I do because I looked at the other videos, all the chrome was gone. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Is the dial string? Yes, the dial is working. And the drum tuner or drum selector is working. The antenna should be fine as well. It is. And it's in perfect condition, and it's long, very long. So let me put that back for now. For AM, they've got something called a wave magnet, which is supposed to really improve reception on AM. Now, as I've mentioned numerous times, on AM, I don't really receive much with the ferrite core, with the ferrite antennas over here. I've got to use a mini whip, but I don't know what Marbella's like, probably a bit better than us. I'm sure there are more stations there than here. I know that the Canary Islands, which is also part of Spain, have a lot of AM stations, so I expect Spanish mainland to have some as well. Okay, so what he tells me is wrong with this is that the tuning is not very good and the audio level is bad. okay? Now, if the audio level's bad, I do remember what I did with the last one. I've got to replace all the caps on this thing. But let me test it first and let's see where we are. I've got the supply in here, 12 volts coming in. And there's a switch on the wire. Oh, okay, that was on. There's a switch on the wire there. Just put a switch on here, just to switch it on and off. Makes sense. You don't leave the transformer on all the time. But here it is on. Let's put it on FM. It's pretty distorted. It shouldn't be. Scratchy pots. That should be perfect reception. It's pretty distorted. See if we can get anything on medium wave. Not very good, is it? Let's try about 12 megahertz. It's receiving something. Okay, and I've seen enough. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take it out of the chassis, and I'm going to do the usual, which is replace caps, check, and then of course check everything else, and I'll go on to alignment. I have to check the transistors on this thing. Let me show you the back. This is a thing of beauty. It's in beautiful condition. Beautiful condition. The transistors here, there's one there, transistors over here, all those will be removed so the pins can be cleaned. Make sure there are no shorts, no tin whisker problems. There are another 3 over here. I think they're actually all okay because otherwise this would not be receiving. However, there is obviously something wrong because reception is pretty poor. But again, this thing looks fantastic. And this one is so different from the previous one, you wouldn't believe. This is incredible. It's in beautiful, beautiful condition. I'm trying to get the light on there so you can get an idea of just how clean this thing is. Amazing, amazing, after so many years. Okay, I'm going to get it out. I seem to recall it's pretty simple. You remove that. You remove, I believe it's 4 screws, one there, one in there, and one in there. You remove the speaker connections. This one's got the 2 plug connections. The other one had a soldered one, and this thing just comes out. After, of course, removing the knobs. So, and of course, you have to then remove the plug here as well. So, let me get onto that, and we'll see what we're facing. So just to recap and for my future reference, you take off this antenna plug, you take off this antenna lead, it comes off from the top connector there, you remove that knob for the drum tuner, you then remove, what was it, 1 over here, 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and disconnect the speaker. And this thing comes out carefully out the back. And look at the inside of this thing. It looks brand new. So I'll put that aside for now. And here we have it. Brilliant. Everything is visible. Most of this is point-to-point wiring. In fact, all of it is point-to-point wiring. I don't see one PCB in here. There are a few caps over here, 500 microfarad, 12 volts. I remember on the last one, these electrolytics were completely buggered. Couple of old caps over there, I'll replace those as well. This over here is all the tone capacitors. Those also look original. I'll have to test them to see what they're like. If they are leaking, I'll have to replace them. I probably will replace them because I want this thing to last another 60 years or however old this is. These ceramic capacitors are usually in perfect condition, so that shouldn't be a problem. It's mostly that lot there that I'm worried about. These things are incredibly difficult to unsolder because they were done point to point and they were done very, very well. This is where they really follow the rule of mechanical connection and then solder. The logic was that you make sure that the component is mechanically fixed. So even without solder, it should be working. It certainly shouldn't fly off there. And then you applied solder just to firm up the connection. That was the rule. I think that was sort of the basis of military spec wiring and common sense, of course. The dial, it seems to be a little bit sort of bent. It looks like it's bent to the right. So that might need a bit of alignment, the pointer. As for the switch, well, welcome to nightmare time. This has got to all be cleaned. Fortunately, there aren't many components in here that need changing, if any. There's one capacitor down there. The others are ceramics. See about that one. But this thing is difficult to get into. And then, of course, here you've got the transistors and sockets. All the coils for alignment. Couple more transistors down here. Lots of trimmer caps. Lots of trimmer caps. And if I remember correctly, the IF alignment for the AM was all done on that. Very straightforward and very logical. Those are two more transistors. I believe they are the output drivers. Also in sockets, so we can take them out and clean the pins. And the problem components that I found last time were all in here. There were quite a few electrolytics here that were completely gone. Those black guys over there. These guys were completely dead. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there was 6 in here. But I did find a nice way to get to them. In fact, the last time I took out the drum to get to them from the front, it looks like you can take this off. And I don't remember this on the last one. I wonder if I was just being stupid. This should be quite easy to take off. So I can take this lid off. I might be able to get to those capacitors quite easily. So that's what I'm going to do next. Before I do anything else, I'm going to do the recapping. I know I have to do that. I'll do the recapping. I'll do the cleaning of the transistor legs. I will test the transistors to make sure there are no shorts to the casing, because these things do develop tin whiskers. Make sure that those are fine. And then we can see what we've done in terms of reception. And of course, then we've got the alignment. There's a lot of alignment to do on here, but that's what makes this thing so special. Okay, let me carry on. I'll get back to you and I've got something to report. Well, removing that drum is perfect to replace these caps. I couldn't do it through that opening there. I think I did have it on the other one and realized I couldn't get to them. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've still got these to do. But I want to put the drum back on because I'm holding these strings in place. Let me show you. I've had quite a few restringings to do lately and it's not fun, so I try to avoid it. And I remembered to try and hold this on with this thing. Now this is press stick. We call it press stick. It's what you give teenagers so they don't, so they put their posters up on the wall without making holes in it. It basically just like a putty that sticks and comes off. I held those strings in place with press stick in 3 places. And that means I won't have to restring this section, but I do want to put the drum back as soon as possible to avoid the risk of this thing falling apart. Now, as I mentioned, this thing just goes in like that, and it's held in place with 2 screws. So you just have to fit it in there. There's a spring washer over here. That goes in there. I must have FM. Which way around does this go? This goes like that. No, this goes like that. And I've got to spin this so that I have FM sticking out front, which is what I had. I want to make sure this thing goes in right. Let's see, is this thing? Yeah, there we go. This does only go in one of two ways. There we go, that's in there. Now I just have to push it in. Let's get this string out. Okay, there we go. And now I've got these two nuts to put it in and hold it together. That's sort of in place, and this one on the bottom. But I'm a little bit anxious about the string, so here goes. Yeah, that goes like that. Yeah, that goes there. The other one goes over the top. Let me put that in. I'll have to do that off camera. Okay, I'm back, and quite a bit's been done. Let me just explain quickly. Those capacitors at the back there, the electrolytics, were all replaced. They were all over their rating, so they did need replacing. One of them is actually the AGC cap. And then there's another one down here, and those two supply capacitors. I think the power supply that this thing's got, the filtering is not very good, because when I replaced that, it was humming. When the volume came up, it was humming. So I put a slightly bigger capacitor there. That's not a problem. That's just straight in from the external supply or the battery, if that's what you're using. What else do we have? Then I found some strange stuff. It looks like someone has been in here. There were two caps in here, these guys, which looked new. They looked like they were new, and they looked a bit strange for some reason. I checked the schematic, and I found they were coming off the transistors, and I'll show you in the schematic which ones they are. They were coming off the transistor, and then they were going straight to ground. They were connected to this ground point over here. And those two caps were not supposed to be grounded. They're actually across the, the base collector. And I think, I mean, this is just before the push-pull stage of the transformer. So these things are to break down oscillations, to prevent oscillations. They basically let high frequencies short through. They were also the wrong value. These are 33 nanofarads. The ones in the schematic say 22. So I think that might have something to do with some of the bassy sound that we had. And I don't know what happened, why someone was in here, but they were obviously in here. Something was wrong and they connected the wrong way around, or they could have decided to put it there. If this thing was oscillating, they could have decided to actually just increase the size of the capacitor and connect it to ground. That would normally cut off the oscillations. But I put 2.2 nanofarads in there, sorry. Those things are supposed to be 2.2, and these are 33. Huh. Yeah, they were 2.2s, and these are 33. So this is a hefty cap. That would definitely short out a lot of audio to ground. And what else have I done? Well, I've done nothing else, and I know what I need to do next, but I want to show you what the result is. Let's just connect this up again. I've got my speaker connected. I've got the supply connected. And I've got it on FM, but I don't have the antenna on. Let's put the antenna on here.
Mas o nutricionista Bruno Souza considera importante falar agora da educação da população.
Nós sabemos que ainda estamos a consumir em excesso, mas também temos que ser realistas que esta redução já é muito positiva.
Tone control works.
Queremos mais, mas terá que ser de uma forma
absolutas, variações bitmáticas de Alejandro Herb.
So all the stations that are supposed to be strong are strong, but I found something else and I will show you. Let's listen to that. I've got this on a weak station. Okay, I've got a station here that's not picking up very distinctly, and watch this. These are the two transistors on the FM block. Now how do I undo it? I think these contacts are dirty, all the transistors are weak, but I think they're just dirty because a little bit earlier on I was just tapping them, moving them, and suddenly the level would jump up. So those are the AM. So I think these transistors have got a problem. I've got to remove them from the sockets and clean them up, and I'm going to do that with all the transistors and see if we get some more joy, because my AM is not very good. For the AM, to test the AM, I've got to put that antenna waveguide on here. For the AM broadcast band, you've got to connect the waveguide because I think the antenna circuit goes through that rod. Let's see what we get. That's long wave. Should get something. Should get my beacon at least. I'm using my mini whip antenna as an external antenna. Medium wave itself.
Me encontré en una situación donde me encontré sola, que no sabía otra cosa. Cada día los problemas de este.
It's not as good as it should be. And this buzz is because my daughter's home from varsity, so we've got the internet over the power line thing connected, and it always does that. But she's only here for a while, so she takes preference. I don't mind. Shortwave.
La France a décidé de se retirer.
Not too bad.
Communication strategy will help promote peace and development in the region. The local
So, I think this needs two things. One, it needs all the transistors cleaned in their sockets, make sure they're all operational. I'll test all the transistors, I hope they're all working. And then it needs an alignment. So I'm going to get on to that first step and see what results we get. I want to show you what cleaning a few transistor sockets does. Listen to this. That's on medium wave.
Mientras peinaban por aire y mar la zona del naufragio, los empresarios primeros de Villa hay todavía 12 desaparecidos. Con propósito, la última.
See that? That's fantastic.
Qui conditionne l'attribution de fonds. Une Europe et plus souveraine.
So obviously one of those transistors, or a couple of those transistor sockets, were really dirty, and it was affecting the signal path. So it looks like we've got our audio back, we've got our reception back. It's still not absolutely aligned, I don't think, because I would expect a bit more on FM. Let me just put the antenna on FM. Oh. Actually, I'm thinking maybe it was on the IF strip, because the FM is back more bubbly as well, and the IF is for both AM and FM, the IF strip, those transistors you have there. Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm happy with that. So it looks like that was important as well. Now, what else have I done? Okay, let me start pointing this out. This is a shorter version. I've cleaned the pots, I've cleaned all the switches, contact cleaner, and cleaned the pots. I have lubricated all the pulleys. Everything that moves in here has had some lubrication on it. I have cleaned the contact, the selector switches here. These are a nightmare. I'm glad there's nothing wrong there, because that would have been really a problem. And yeah, basically that's it. What else have I done? Those capacitors there, I took off the one end. They are perfect. They're just in the tone control, so I'm not removing them. And that one there as well. And this thing is starting to really sound good. Now, I'm sure that an alignment is going to give it that the final oomph that it needs. So I have to go back and check my notes again and check the service manual and set this up for the alignment. I'll do the FM and the AM IF alignments, and then also the RF alignments for the various bands, because this thing, I want this thing to be really spot on. Okay, let me get going. I'll get back when I've got something more to report. I went into the alignment procedure quite intensively in the previous series, but I'll just give you a quick overview here. I'm going to align the AM IF, and very simply they tell you to feed 455 kilohertz with a modulated tone on it. I've got that done. It goes through a loop near the wave magnet. You don't actually connect it to the radio. I've got it through the step attenuator to see what level I need. I want to get the lowest level possible while still being able to discern the tone. I've also got the AC millivolt meter up there, so I can check it and align by that. And then very simply, you adjust for peak audio, and you adjust this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. And that's it. So I won't bore you with that. I'll just do it and see if we get any improvement. Put the volume up. See, there's a lot of static, but I can hear the tone. I'll lower the volume now on the video so you don't get bugged by this, but I'll just go through the whole procedure. And that is it. The AM IF alignment has been done. It's pretty simple. You just repeat this a few times. Make sure that the tone, that the level of that signal coming in there is as low as possible. You want this to be as low as possible, and you want to just hear it above the static and be able to discern the tone. The way I do it is I put it at the lowest possible and make sure that I can detect an adjustment on the meter as the tone comes in and out. The reason is that sometimes the static is also audio, so the voltmeter is measuring the static as well. So you want to make sure that the tone actually gets discernible above the static. And that's it. That part is done. Now I'm going to do some RF alignment. I'm not sure how this is, but we shall see. What have you done? I can't can't believe it. This guy's aligned the whole bloody thing. Yeah, he's looking guilty. He's tired. He's done all the alignment. I think he's done all the RF alignment. I'll leave him here for a minute and he gets into my hobby. Not fair. No, seriously. See that? That radio is done. And why is it like that? Okay, you've done your job, eh? Go away. Why is it like that? Well, the reason is that the RF alignment was exactly the same. I mean exactly the same as the previous one. I started to record it and then I realized, well, why am I doing this again? And I'd gone back to see the previous videos. There are two videos. One is video number 3 and the other one is video number 4 in the Zenith Trans-Oceanic Royal 3000-1 series of the previous restoration that I did. And everything worked out exactly the same. So I felt that it would just be repetitive and boring for you to watch. And if you do want to watch, well, I'll link up the 3 video above. You can go and see it. It was exactly the same. And the result was actually quite amazing. Some of it was fairly way out. Not the IF alignments. Those were very close. It's the RF alignment that was out. And I can't understand why. Especially in the lower bands, the long wave, medium wave, short wave 1, or the first short wave band, those were very way off. So those have been done, and now everything is nicely aligned. He still wants to do some more. He's still meowing in the background here. And everything is nicely aligned, and I went one step further. I did some cleaning. Now you'll probably recall that there wasn't that much to clean. It was in very good condition, but there's always something to clean. Little things like the edges there, you can get right into the edges. Those things are normally difficult to get hold of. So that was all cleaned up. The leatherette was polished. When I say polished, I mean polished. This is done with shoe polish. It's this stuff, the creamy stuff. And put it on a bit of a cloth, really polish it down and then shine it. So it comes out beautifully. And now we have the radio fully operational. I have left the sticker on here because he might want that there. And we're going to give it a test. Now it's working very well, let me tell you. So it should be what we expect from a Zenith. I'm going to use the mini whip anyway because, I mean, as I've said before, we get very little in terms of AM down here. So it's always good to hear this thing really operate at what it's capable of. And the mini whip really does show that off. We'll start with FM. This is one station I don't normally receive too well. This is one I receive very well.
Faz as leis. Quem as aplica?
Here's my main go-to station.
Fiscaliza. Portanto, há aqui responsáveis. Vamos então a montante. A Assembleia da República devia ter alterado a lei eleitoral. Devia. É evidente que devia. Porque teve tempo para o fazer desde...
So this is receiving normally, and the AFC works. If I tune it to that station,
não foi com esta dimensão. Agora,
it's on AFC at the moment. If I tune off, see that? It's almost off the station. I don't know if that'll work. That's completely off the station. No, that's just a bit too much. See that? So that works pretty well. That's FM for you. Brilliant. Let's try the higher frequencies this time of day, see if we can get anything.
E lembraram que esse tipo de exercício, que de fato acontece com uma regularidade, só acontecia...
This is on 17.4 megahertz.
antecipados para agora, para esse mês, para poder...
And I'm looking forward to really, import our laptop.
Charges and equipment for the 2022 season as they gain ranks in officiating the game of football.
This is about 17.8 megahertz.
As futsal, beach soccer, inteira a Ucrânia.
Esses exercícios não representam como tal risco para matar pessoas.
Just how to come together and play as a team. But of course we expect their coaches.
Having the third edition has grown so much in
Inama unaweza kuangalia usahihi au la kitengo
ontem foram retirados pelo exército primeiro, foram levados para ricos, mas essa é uma região que tem muitos
marka waxaa leeyahay dhalinyarada waxaa cilada qaldan ay u baraarugaan
محدود
كاشنا نجاد في السلك عند ميري thầy ta em là phổ bố thì gần đây mới xuất hiện cặp cô thầy con
صبيت مخربط فتح عليه اكلسها وبحلا والرشعان نعيد أمنة سليم de atentados, aquilo que nós chamamos de ventonas.
Et des noms en bon, ce que dit Domingo Simões Pereira en bon français.
ibsa miidiyaaleef kennan irratti haaluma kamiiniyyuu mariif hin dhiyaatu. Niidila addunyaa bal'inaan ibsanis dubbii himaan ministeera dhimma.
On this one we should probably get nothing. We don't normally get anything here anyway. This is the lower shortwave, and then we're back to medium wave. Okay, what I'm going to do is later this evening I'm going to show you what the medium wave and the long wave bands can do, because that's really a lot better in the evenings. Also the lower shortwave bands up to about 7 megahertz, I think it is. It's better in the evening. above 7 megahertz, you can pick it up pretty well during the day. But that's what I'll show you right after this.
ونفس الشيء عملوا مع جورج وسوف سلطان الطرف كذلك كانوا que era también año complicado por la crisis económica, pero me comentaban que quizá esta es mucho
se alargó bastante en el tiempo, pero en cuanto a esta, de repente en los últimos 6 meses, nos está afectando más.
Y llega el Alavés de José Lu que ha marcado 12 de los 19 goles del Alavés en esta liga.
De casi todos, van más que reparto. Como grabamos la película.
Pues para el domingo Lopetegui pierde al sancionado Acuña, forzó la tarjeta para estar en...
Bueno, lo primero, el acuerdo. Bueno, sí, muy poco.
La Europa League no saca al Sevilla.
A medio de febrero parece que allá va.
chanson de 1968 qui s'appelle Un amour. 15 jours de rencontre Jane lors du tournage.
Aujourd'hui, je suis rentrée définitivement au Maroc pour me consacrer uniquement au Maroc pour le développement de la gestion des déchets et apporter une petite touche féminine dans ce domaine.
وهذا الدومين بالذات أو هذا المجال بالذات.
So we've come to the end of another project, and this one I enjoyed, but there's not that much to report because it had a lot of work to do, but it was all the same stuff as I did before. The alignment on this thing is a slow slog. You got to do it one step at a time. You got to keep looking at the references there, check things up, make sure you're getting the right adjustments, because it's very easy to do the wrong one. Then you've got to go back and do the other band that you've just messed up. And I also wanted to do a check, and I will do a check inside the cabinet, because I aligned these guys with the cabinet out. Now this thing here is a real shield. It's all metal, as you can see, so it does shield the radio very well. And I've got a feeling that they intend you to do the alignment, or most of the alignment, especially the RF alignment, from within with the radio inside the cabinet. So I will be tweaking this a bit more. And the other reason I want to tweak it some more is that I want to try some Russian transistors that are on their way. These guys over here, these are Zenith transistors. They're the 2N series. They're germanium PNPs. They do tend to have a problem with tin whiskers. If they don't have them yet, they could have them later. I later on realized that when I was knocking these guys, maybe, just maybe, I was knocking some tin whiskers out. That's why the sound suddenly came back. It never really died. Usually with tin whiskers, you'll get the stage go completely deaf. It didn't happen, but I did get a point where I was tapping this. However, when I took it out and cleaned the legs, it suddenly came back. So my conclusion was it's probably the tarnish, but it could also be a tin whisker problem. So I'm waiting for some Russian transistors known to work on this model. Graham from Radio Cruncher is sending them over to me. Thank you, Graham. So I'll be trying them on here. I will have to do a full alignment again if I decide to leave them in here, if I notice any great improvement. And the way I want to do this is basically take it one step at a time. So go for the IF chain first, see if it makes any improvement. Align it, of course, because the minute you put a different transistor in here, remember you've got a tank circuit that includes a transistor. A tank circuit is resistive, inductive, and capacitive. Now the transistors have capacitance, and the capacitance of these transistors could be different to the ones you put in. Even if you put in exactly the same transistor from the same manufacturer, you normally would have to tweak the alignment because the slight adjustments or alterations in the capacitance between the base and the emitter, and the collector and emitter, that'll change the tank circuit's resonant frequency, so you do need to align it again. But that's fine, I enjoy it. I get out my data sheet over there, my service manual, follow the instructions through and try it out. I want to try out the RF stage here as well. One is the mixer, one is the oscillator, and one is the RF amplifier. That could make an improved make for an improved reception. I don't know. I remember the other one I did also had fairly similar reception from what I can remember, but I want to see what happens if I put in a couple of new transistors in here just to check if it makes any great difference. And so I'll be sitting on this for a while till those transistors arrive. They shouldn't be long. If I find something interesting, I'll make a short video just showing you the results. Otherwise, this is it. So this is an American radio, bought and used in Spain, restored in Madeira. I like the internationalization of all this. So once again, we come to the end of another project. I want to thank you for your company. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope I haven't bored you too much. And I'm sorry the cat did all the difficult work, but sometimes he's just got to be useful. So once again, thanks for watching. Bye for now, and most of all, stay safe.